All right, good morning, everyone. I'm Todd Sumney. I'm the Chief Industry Officer for HomeSmart International. Thank you all for joining us today on Become a Database Millionaire. This is the third part in a four-part series of building your database and in order to grow your business as a real estate agent. And we hope that the topics we're going to talk about today are going to help every real estate agent in the industry grow their business. And this is kind of a foundational business builder. We call these business builders, where we do a 3 or 4 week program. And this is a foundational business builder to what we want to do after the first of the year. We want to do a business builder about winning listings. You've all heard the phrase list to last. So one of the precursors, though, to winning listings is having a database and working and engaging your sphere of influence in order to garner those listings. So this is a foundational element prior to that. So we hope that you'll all join us in January for that as well. But again, becoming a database millionaire, we're going to cover some different topics today. We're going to talk about building your sphere of influence and building a database. We're going to talk about expanding it. So you might start out with a smaller number of contacts, and over the years or over the months, or even if you're trying to do it aggressively, over a couple of weeks, you start with a lower number, you expand it to add more participants, more customers into your database. And then what do? You engage it. You get your engagement and start to get conversation going with your customers. And then from there, you actually harvest. So those are the 4 topics we're going to talk about today. Now, how we're doing this is we're interviewing over the 4-week time period. We're interviewing, 4 of our top producers, around the country. We've already done 2 sets of these. Now we have DeAnn Gladwell from Orland Park, Illinois, with us here today. Thank you, DeAnn. And then next week, we're going to have Bruno Arapovic on. Thank you to the agents last week from Rhode Island and from Jay Friedman in week 1. We really appreciated everything that you all did with Database Millionaire. For those of you who have yet to go register for this webinar, though, you want to register for a couple reasons. We created a kit for you that you can download and get some resources, including a starter file, an Excel file that you can use to begin to build a database, as well as some other tips and tricks. And then also you can be entered to win. At the end of this webinar, we're going to give away this week's winner a $250 gift card to one of the participants. So if you haven't yet registered, go to homesmart.com/database millionaire and sign up and join us today. And you just enter your name and address and you're ready to go. All right. Now, we like to call these Mondays here because we're doing them 4 Mondays in a row, Millionaire Mondays. And they're because basically it's basically just if you build that database, that's how you can create a real strong asset over the years and do it every Mondays in a row. So Millionaire Mondays, here we go. We're already done 2. Week 3 here, October 29th. Next week, Monday, November 5th, will be the last session. So make sure you put it on your calendar for next week at 11. Last thing before we dig in with DeAnn and start talking about building a database is let's talk about results for a minute. So we've been doing this now for 3 weeks. We've been sharing ideas. I've heard so much feedback from the agents about what they like, about what's working, great tips and tricks. And they're like, oh, that was so awesome. It was just worth the, attending just to hear that 1 or 2 3 little great ideas. But what we want you to do is we want you to share your results. Share what spoke to you, how you implemented in your business, and then what results you got out of it. We learn every day from other top producers, and then it impacts our business and we get more business, make it stronger. So we would really like you all to encourage each other by sharing the results, and go to our Smart Agent Ideas. We have a private Facebook group called Smart Agent Ideas. If you open up your Facebook app, put in the search bar Smart Agent, all one word, Smart Agent Ideas will come up. It's a private group. You can request to join the group, and then we'll let you in, and then and that's where you can see all the agents sharing their results. So please, though, go in and share your results. Let us all know how this is working for you, and how many transactions you're increasing by putting these strategies and tactics in place. But without a further ado, I'd like to dig into this week's Database Millionaire, and let's talk to DeAnn Gladwell. So week number 3 here. We have DeAnn Gladwell with us from HomeSmart Realty Group in Orland Park, Illinois. DeAnn, I've met DeAnn before. I have been out to Chicago many times. Her broker was just out here with us last week here in Arizona. So DeAnn, thank you so much for being with us on the webinar today.
Well, you're welcome, Todd, and I want to say hi to everybody. You are all CEOs of your real estate company, so what an honor it is to be able to be on a call with all of you who are CEOs of your own companies.
I love that. I like that. That is so true. We control our own destiny, don't we, right?
You do.
Yeah. So all of you right here, take a screenshot here. This is DeAnn's contact information. So put this into your database and mark it for references, referrals with top agents in Orland Park, Illinois, right? That's how you do it. It always starts with one and you just make your database bigger. So put DeAnn into your database and send her a note. Tell her hi, DeAnn_Gladwell@yahoo.com. Send her a note after this webinar and tell her how awesome she did. And I'd appreciate that. But DeAnn, let's talk a little bit about your story here. We're going to break into the 4 areas: build, expand, engage, and then harvest your database. 8 years ago, you weren't even in real estate. You were in a different profession. So can you give everyone a little bit about your background and tell us about yourself?
Sure, Todd. 8 years ago, I was actually working for a large bank in Dallas in the operations center, and I was doing short sales. So basically, the people that I came into contact every day were realtors, lawyers, and homeowners. I had closed about 300 short sales. Then I moved to Illinois and thought it would be a really nice transition to become a realtor. And now I've been a realtor for 8 years. The million-dollar question is, why did I move from Dallas to Illinois? I get that all the time, and I can tell you it certainly wasn't for the weather. It's really cold here today.
But you have gorgeous summers.
We do.
All right. So tell us that story. Why did you move, and how did you?
Why did I move?
how did you transition into real estate from the banking business?
Well, I mean, actually, I didn't have a clue what realtors did. I knew about the paperwork on short sales. I would talk to them. I knew that they didn't like waiting 6 or 9 months for a short sale to close. And that's about all I knew. And so I just studied for my license, and that's the only thing I've done since I've lived here.
And next thing you know, though, you were selling tons of homes and helping tons of customers buying and selling, because I know your story. And your numbers are really staggering, and congratulations to you. But real quick, how did your database come about? Because at some point you were not a realtor. At some point you have your license, you're becoming a realtor, and how do you get customers to want to work with you, either as a buyer or as a seller? Where did you go? How did you start?
So when I moved to Illinois, I actually knew one person in this whole state. I did not have friends or family members or anybody to sell real estate to. That was a rude awakening once I got my real estate license. I was ready to sell something and I didn't have any clients. So my first unofficial system was to hand out business cards to every person I met. And I also, if you know me and work with me, I always have my name badge on. So the first listing I got was actually my eye doctor. I went to an appointment. Then we had a guy come fix a window in our house, and I listed a house for him. My next client was the paint guy at Home Depot. And then for my name tag, I met a lady at PetSmart. and a lady at a grocery store. So those were my first 5 clients. Building a database from zero.
Okay.
So that's an unofficial system to use, but you've got to let people know you're a realtor. If you keep it a secret, you're not going to sell anything, right?
Right.
So tell everybody.
Right.
About 2 years into real estate, I actually went to about a week-long Daryl Davis seminar. That was extremely helpful. You come home with a book that's probably 500-600 pages. It covered everything from prospecting and how to find clients to listing presentations to working with buyers, how not to show 30 houses to one person. So when I finished that, I was pretty much off and running, and I saw my numbers skyrocket. After I went to that, I had the confidence to do anything a realtor needed to do, and I had the paperwork to back it up, examples of advertising letters, and so forth. With the class came a set of CDs. So I'm not selling everyone on the Daryl Davis concept, just telling you what I did.
Right.
So I would listen to his CDs in my car going to appointments, and I didn't really pay attention to them or try to memorize them. They were just always in the background. Well, what I found was when I would go to a listing appointment, I could actually do very good at objection handling, and some of his ideas were actually turned into words when I was on actual appointments. So, I mean, there are many classes out there, but the CDs really helped me in the background for about a year. One system I developed as a new realtor is, and I think this is in the PowerPoint, right, Todd? I have a 3-page brochure. So this serves as an introduction to me when I meet new people. I always put this in my buyer packet. I actually carry these brochures in my car. I will pull over when I see an estate sale sign and give people the brochure, because certainly they're going to be listing the house at some point. And the brochure also serves as a reminder to people, because it gives them something in their hand once they leave an appointment or once they meet you. They're not going home empty-handed and forgetting who you are.
Right.
I like real estate humor, so if you could see this brochure on the back, one of my clients went up on the real estate sign and climbed on top of it and was balancing. So I put that picture in. Hopefully people will get a chuckle too when they look at my brochure.
I like that. You said another happy customer, right? Big, huge home smart sign. So
exactly.
love that. I'm going to go back real quick here to this other marketing piece that you had. You'd sent one out. I thought this was really unique, because you basically said, hey, I'm a realtor in your neighborhood, 562F, right? Number closings, 450, 7 national and local real estate awards. You, the customer, number 1. And then, it's got the nice upscale look with the gold leaf background, back behind you, the gold lettering, the black. I thought that was really, really a sharp piece. So kudos to you. You got me to ask you about it.
Well, thank you. And every realtor can do this. I actually found the template on canva.com, which is one of my favorite go-to websites for really modern looking brochures. The neighborhood said, oh my gosh, I need an ad tomorrow. I just threw that together. I mean, they had the template and I just kind of changed the numbers.
I love it. Okay, so real quick, I'm going to type out a message to everybody too, just so you all, it's canva.com, right? Mm-hmm. I've heard of that from several agents that have used canva.com, create little marketing pieces. So I love it. I love it. Let's get back to, let's talk about building. Let's talk about building, then let's get into expanding. Okay. Building your database or organizing, building and organizing to me a little bit are the same thing. Do you have one tip that you'd like to give agents if there's one takeaway from today about building or organizing their database?
Well, make sure you have the source and you maintain where you got the business in your spreadsheet or system. So when you have to contact people that you met at an open house, you can then personalize or tailor your communication to we met you at an open house. Did I meet them at Starbucks? So I always, what is the source of that business? Then I can do a mass communication to one particular group.
Well, we were just talking about that before the webinar started about how one thing that you want to make sure is that all of your business isn't coming from only one source. And so
Exactly.
what you mentioned was that you really do exactly what you just outlined to everyone. You track where every single contact is from, and where the source of business is coming from, so that you can make sure your business is constantly growing from different avenues, not just from one source. Is that a correct? I don't want to put words in your mouth, but right?
Yeah, exactly. And what Todd and I were talking about, I have never stopped to count the number of houses I've sold, the millions of dollars, but there is one thing I do track. So I have two spreadsheets. One has all my contacts on it, clients and prospects. I have another spreadsheet, I use Excel, for active deals. But on the active deals, I've always got the source, and I do calculate the percentage to make sure that 80 or 90% of my business is not coming from just one place. Do
Right,
I need to expand? It's like having a balanced stock portfolio. You can't be in all stocks or all bonds.
right, right.
Principle.
So let's talk about expanding it a little bit. You mentioned a couple different, lead sources or channels of business. Some leads, I think some realtors, when they hear the word leads, they think that it's either a purchase or a gift from somewhere, meaning that somebody's giving you a lead or you're purchasing a lead, when in reality, all business is leads. And a lot of it comes from hard work, and it comes from engagement and generation and different things. But it is all about expansion and expanding your database. So what are some of the lead sources that you use or target to expand your business?
Okay, here's one of my favorites. We all, when you represent buyers, you're going to schedule a home inspection. So when I communicate with the buyers, I say, plan to spend at least 2 hours in the house you're going to buy. And this is a great opportunity for you to bring in friends and family. So inevitably, the last one I did, they showed up with 8 different family members. I've got my brochures and business cards in hand. I make sure to talk to every single family member, introduce myself while the buyers are off with the home inspector learning about the home. I have gotten a lot of business that way, and it's so easy because you're already in the home. You just tell them to invite everybody they know to come see their new house, and
Right.
they will.
Wow, that's a great one. How about some other lead sources that you'd mentioned?
Okay, here's one, and I want people to text you about this closings because I really don't get this. So if you're a realtor on the call and you just don't go to your closings, why is that? Here's what happens. I've noticed in the last 1 to 2 years that realtors are not attending closings. I'm the only realtor there. I'm the listing agent generally. And the buyers are sitting across from me, no realtor. So when I hand them the keys, I had some keychains printed up. And I say, oh my gosh, I have a keychain. Do you need it? Oh, yeah, we need a keychain. Thank you so much. Well, guess what? Their agent's not there. And as you realtors know, once a deal closes, those clients are fair game. So realtors like me attend every closing. And now I'm working on your clients to be my client. And
Right.
I show up very overdressed for closings so that your clients know that I'm a professional.
Oh, I love it. Well, and the industry statistics will say, you know, after 5 years later, that the majority, what is it? Let's see, it's 13% remember who their realtor is. So what does that mean? 87% don't remember who their realtor was. So by the fact that you have that relationship or you gave them a keychain, they might remember you.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And here's something I have done consistently since day one. When I close a deal, I have a label template on my computer, 3 across, 10 down. It's every label. I put their name and address every single time I close a deal. When I'm ready to do a snail mail mailing to my past clients, literally I print the labels off and tear them off and mail. And of course, those clients are on an Excel spreadsheet. I can download them to Outlook if I want to do emails or whatever. But every client is on a set of labels. And I have contacted my past clients at least twice a year, every single year.
Every single one.
They're not going to forget my name.
I love it. I love it. Hey, by the way, we just got a comment. Karen Davis, one of the agents on, said, I always talking about those clients at the closing when no one's there. She said, I always refer to those clients as orphaned clients. They go into my databases and they get mailings from me. I love that, orphaned clients. I'm actually going to add a new column to the database. That's a great term for a database right there, orphaned clients. So Karen, thanks for that comment.
Yeah, and they're practically your best friend because you sat there talking to them for 3 hours.
Love it. All right, so let's talk about a couple more things, just expanding database. Do you use any lead sources, any paid web portals, lead sources?
I have not purchased a lead, Todd, I'm sorry, since 2013. I did purchase leads when I started in the business. Admittedly, I tried Realtor.com a year ago when I went back into sales. After 2 months, I canceled it, which wasn't easy, by the way. And,
right.
No, I do not purchase leads. The majority of my business comes from referrals. From existing clients. That's the main source of my business. I also get Redfin leads. My home inspector sends me business. Realtors, when you're out there with your home inspector, ask them for business. Do you know anyone buying or selling a house? Right. You've got to ask them for the business. I get referrals from my lender. I get HUD REOs, and I volunteer at the local dog shelter, so I get leads from my group at the dog shelter, and there are over 200 volunteers that work there.
Oh, great.
Join a group. That's a great way to get real estate leads.
Love it. Love it. Ironically, but you did purchase leads back when you first started.
I did.
Okay. And I've heard that I'm starting to see a similarity here between a lot of top agents, that they purchased leads when they began. And so if you're new to the business, that is a valid lead source. But the goal is to maybe at that point, get them into a database, make them part of your sphere, and then you begin to work by referral, sphere of influence, because you're working your database and you don't have to purchase leads anymore from then on. So
exactly.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's I guess for expanding, before we move on to engaging though, any other additional thoughts or tips? Sometimes you have a brand new agent, they don't have any contacts. How do they expand and expand and begin to build that database? Or you have an agent that they're doing X amount of business, but they want to do 2X amount of business next year. They want to go from a single diamond winner to a double diamond winner, right? And to that, you expand. You got to add and fill up your pipeline. Last little comment or thoughts to somebody needing to expand their database. Tip.
Well, you're going to have to do something different than what you're doing presently to double your business. And here's the thing, set a goal for yourself. I did a very simple, I know there are very expanded business plans, I usually did a 1 or 2 page plan every year. I haven't done it lately, but what I do is set in my mind how much money I want to make. So when I was a brand new agent, I wrote down $50,000 would be a nice amount of money to make. I hit that goal in about 17 months. Then after a couple of years, I said, now I want to move into the 6-figure income of real estate. That's when I sort of know I've made it and I must be doing the right thing. And actually, it's just providing good service. It's very simple. There's no magic. But if you're going to expand your business, I would suggest going to a real estate professional and following their particular system. Actually, I interviewed a realtor, and he's one of the very few people that just didn't talk to you. And I thought, oh my gosh, he's never going to make it. He got a real estate coach, and he had 70 listings last time I checked on him. I don't know how he does it. He does not talk to people.
Wow.
But his coach got him laser focused, and that's what he did. Wow. So if you're new and you don't have systems in place, and you don't have to pay $1,200 a month. I know Daryl Davis has a system that's less than $30 a month just to get you some wording and brochures and fun things to use on presentations, which will give you more confidence. Right. So do something different to get more business, because if you want to double, you're not going to do it doing the same thing.
Right. So do you share your plan with anyone? Like, do you have an accountability, like even your husband, or your, a family member or someone?
Managing broker.
Mm-hmm.
I have always been accountable to my managing broker about how much money I want to make. And once I've written that number down every single year, I've hit that number.
I love that.
Very simple business plan.
I love that. Well, there is something subtle, and if you share that number with your broker, he has it, right? Or she has it, and they have that number, and you've got to come through and hit it. So that's great motivation. All right, let's go on to number 3. Let's talk about engaging. So engaging your customers and interacting with them. By the way, getting some other comments, about loving the home inspection idea and inviting everyone. Terry Bruno commented, so love that. But what engaging? How do you engage your database? I know earlier you said you engaged every single contact at least twice a month. How many contacts are we talking now? Do you even know? Roughly?
Well, I have about 350 contacts in my database, and I really focus on quality over quantity. Mm-hmm. My personality does not want to manage a database of strangers of 5,000 people. That's just not me. It doesn't work for me.
Right.
Some people look at this both ways. There are realtors. We have one in our office that says, I have got to get 5 new names every single day. And she says she chases down people at the Walmart parking lot, Home Depot parking lot. She's doing very well. And that's her personality. The way I do it, if I haven't heard from someone in 5 years and they haven't responded to anything, I will remove their name and replace them with some people I've recently met. And basically, do I want to work with you? Occasionally, you'll meet someone. I'm not going to add you to my database when I get home. So you can be particular on your database.
Okay. So what are some specifics or some specific tactics? You already showed that one ad that you have. You have your brochures that you use, that you hand out. Do you do newsletters? Do you do postcards? Do you do texting? And do you schedule this all? Do you have a marketing calendar or anything like that you use?
I do use a calendar. It's all on my cell phone.
Okay. And
actually, when I speak with someone, we're not buying a house until March, right then I calendar on my phone. I'm going to call them and I put their name, phone number, and email, so it's very easy. On that morning, I've got their name right in front of me. I don't sit on the phone for hours every day making cold calls just because it doesn't fit my personality.
Right.
I do more of the warm intro, the people I've met at closings, people I've met at open houses, and so forth. So here is one tip I have for everybody, and it's free and it's easy, and you all need to do it. A person's name is the best thing they hear. So when I meet someone, the first thing I do is I will remember their name. So now with electronic communication, it's very informal. So what we need to be doing when you send a text, hi, Todd, this is what I need. Hi, Jane, this is what I need. Even in email, it's easier, isn't it, when we get busy? Hey, can you just send me this document? No, stop and put their name, even on a text message. This will set you apart from your competition because they're not doing this.
Right.
And it adds personalization to your communications.
Oh, especially in texting.
Yes,
I noticed
exactly.
that so many people after the first text or so, they drop the name, completely. And, it is kind of nice actually, now that you say that, when it comes through and it's like, hi, Todd, blah, 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 even though we've had 20 other text conversations, right?
Yes. What if you walk in a store and say, I need a pair of shoes, and you skip the salesman says hello, you say, hi, can I help you? Well, that's just like a text. You skip it and say, I need some shoes. It's very informal, so make it more formal, and you'll look like you took a little extra time.
I love it. I love it. That's
Oh,
great.
and here's another thing. You asked me about postcards.
Yep.
All right, so realtors on the call, you need to know that some lenders will support a top producer and pay for co-op advertising. Most of those lenders who only support one producer have to pay for this out of their pocket. I have now found a local bank that's only in Illinois who will pay for just listed, just sold brochures, open house. They're even willing to have their marketing department provide coffee mugs and gift bags if I want to have an event. They don't care that I'm not their top producer yet. I also have another lender. His marketing department supports me. He will print 1,200 postcards for me on an every door direct mail. He pays for everything. I pay for postage. So for about $170, I get 1,200 cards out there. And on my just listed postcards, I really got tired of seeing just listed. My postcards say, guess what your neighbor just did? Whether they just listed or just sold. So
I like that. You know what? Because just listed is kind of like
it's so trite.
it
Yeah,
is,
you see
right.
it all the time.
Okay, wait a minute. What was that? Guess what your neighbor just did? I got a page,
Yeah.
write that down.
Guess what your neighbor just did?
Okay. All right. I
So
like
those are
that.
my postcards and brochures. So don't be frustrated. I mean, I was frustrated for a couple of years because I didn't know anyone. But if you keep interviewing lenders, you'll find one that has a marketing department that supports them. They don't have to pay out of pocket, and they're more than happy to print things for you for free.
Right. Have
That
you
will save
ever
you.
Have you
Yeah.
ever, so those 1,200 postcards, so you'd mentioned earlier, and this is another similarity that I see happen a lot, where you've got, with top producing agents, I see a similarity. You talk about 350 in your database and in your sphere, but yet you just talked about a postcard mailing out to 1,200, because what you're doing there is you're kind of like, what are you, farming an area? Are you?
Well, that would just be an area that I want business from. And no, that's not my farm. That's really sending out postcards for name recognitions. And actually, I got 4 phone calls from 1,200 postcards. When I would pay for postcards myself and send 300 or 400, I didn't get hardly any prospects from that. But 1,200 makes a huge impact. Every single neighbor in one zip code.
Right. So you're doing every door direct mail, and therefore you're hitting all of those people in a zip code, right?
Mm-hmm. And
Okay.
my lender's paying for it.
That's great. Okay. So okay. So Allie just commented, she said, I do my postcards to say your neighbor got what they deserve.
I love that.
I like that one. You know,
Exactly.
yeah. Question says, DeAnn, do you co-advertise on the postcard with the lender that pays for it?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes. And you
All
got
right.
to make sure they're good lenders too, because you're putting your name on them. So make sure they know what they're doing and they've got all the products out there and not just,
Yeah.
a limited service lender like conventional FHA. You want somebody who can do the specialty stuff too.
Right. Well, and on that type of co-marketing, you really do have to watch doing the 50-50 just for all the panelists. You got to watch making sure that you have, shared, co-marketing. I think that what they want 50-50 between the two of you. So that's good stuff. But what else? Let's talk into harvesting. Okay. So now you've got, whoops, I went ahead too far. Okay. So, you got building it. We've talked about expanding it. We've talked about engaging it, harvesting. What's your, your best tactic for like reaping all the rewards from the seeds you planted?
Well, here's an idea I was talking about electronic communication. I have created a hybrid between email and snail mail. So if a realtor will create electronic stationery on their computer, so I will meet someone and type a very formal letter on that stationery. Then I copy that letter, insert it into an email, and that's what I send if I really want to make an impact on somebody. That I took a lot of time to send you this email, especially to professionals I meet, doctors, attorneys. I mean, for upper end clients, that's what I do.
So say that again. You're taking you're actually doing a physical hard copy letter. You're mailing that letter out, and
Don't
then you're
mail
also
it.
scanning it. No, don't
Don't
mail
mail
it.
it.
Okay.
I just copy it.
Okay.
And paste it into my email, so that's what they get instead of just the email.
Oh, got it. Okay. Yeah.
And if anybody wants an example, email me and I'll be happy to send it to you and show you what it looks like.
Oh,
I think it's pretty impressive, and once again, it sets me apart. I haven't seen anybody else doing that.
That's great. That's awesome. So what's your favorite story about harvesting or reaping rewards, of working your database?
Oh, I have a favorite story. You know how we all go to open houses and they're not, I mean, they can be really fun because you're talking to people, but how many people there want to buy or sell that day or this week or this month? They don't. So I had an open house. It was 10 below zero and there was no heat in the house. It was a hot property. So I had 30 or 50 people come through the house. 2 years later, a man called me and said, "Do you remember me from the open house?" He gave me his name. I said, "I do. You had your two sons with you." He said, "I kept your card. You've emailed me a few times. I'm ready to buy a house." That made it all worthwhile. I can think about that and get pumped up about doing business any day of the week.
You know what? I love that. You just said something pretty key. You can think about that and remember that and get pumped up about doing business any day of the week. I do think that we need to have those stories or those motivational things that we go call upon, when we're sitting down ready to begin and we're like, and it just does, it pumps you up because it works. It really does work. So you stayed in touch with him. You didn't just, I'm amazed at sometimes how often there's opportunities in real estate that walk in the door and we just don't capitalize on them, right? Versus you did not allow that to happen. You stayed in touch with him. He remembered who you were. You emailed him, you stayed in touch. So that's a great story.
And don't try to outguess people from the way they're dressed. This person actually had a lawn mowing service and he paid cash for a $450,000 property. That's the end of that story.
I love, you know, that's so true. It is so
Yeah,
true, right?
yeah.
That's great. All right. Well, this has been awesome, DeAnn. Thank you so much. What else, last little, comments here. I noticed, one thing in particular, you have a ton of community involvement, and, on your resume and on your bio, your background. And you said earlier, get involved. Can you talk about that a little bit? And you feel that, applies here to this conversation?
Well, and especially when you're new in the business. I mean, if you are in a place where you grew up, oh my gosh, lucky you, because you already know people. But if you don't know people, joining a group, and you don't even have to join something you're interested in. If you have children and go to their ball games, just literally have some labels printed with your name and phone number, and I'm a realtor on a water bottle, and pass those out at games. That's the same as joining a group.
Right.
Just, Boy Scout troops, whatever it is your kids are doing.
Right.
And if you're like me, my child's out of college now. I had to go find a group, and I wanted to here because I didn't know that many people. And I
Right.
love dogs. So
I love it. I love it. Well, DeAnn, thank you so much for being here with us today. I said to everyone every week while we've been doing this, we have three choices basically coming out of a conversation like this. I just wrote down 3 or 4 great tips, and one option would be to do nothing, just do nothing. Hey, those were great ideas, but don't take action on them. The second one would be to actually take action on them, and to basically, work 2 hours a day, on one of the 4, aspects of building the database. Or another way would be to do 2 hours a day, or 2 hours a week on all 4 items. That's 8 hours. What happens if we just put 8 hours into our database and our organization of a database and in our engagement of a database this week? I think that we would, get some results. So I guess my urging, and I guess I would like to know if you have any final comments for the group to urge them to actually take some action and apply it this week.
well, the key to real estate is service and not selling. If you provide exceptional service which exceeds expectations, you will always have business. And as a closing thought, would you hire you to be your realtor?
That's a good thought. That's a good thought. And what are you doing? And also, what do they need to know, like, so that they know that you are the right realtor for them, which comes back to communicating, engaging, the whole thing. So
Exactly.
that's a good thought. All right. So quick question. Someone said Cresta Davis. So DeAnn only uses Excel spreadsheet to manage her database, not a specific platform online. Is that a correct statement? I know you also use your phone. You use Excel. What else do you, anything else that you're using?
No, our MLS system in Illinois allows us to export contacts. So I just export it to a spreadsheet and then sort the columns by however I need it. No, I prefer to keep the money I make and not pay for systems. The only system I do pay for is QuickBooks for business owners, independent business owners. If you pay $4.99 a month for that program, you'll have an extra 40 hours a year to do everything we talked about today.
Love it.
Instead of
Love it.
taking boxes of receipts to a CPA like I used to do.
That's great. That's good. All right. So urge everyone this week, please post your comments on our private Facebook group, Smart Agent Ideas. Post your results. Let us know how you're doing. Right now, a couple of you go in there if you could and send DeAnn a little post note or do a little post and tell her she did a great job, because I thought she did. DeAnn, thank you so much for being here with us this week. You did do a great job.
Oh, and thanks everybody for your time. You know, the fact that you're on the call means you're learning, and we're all gonna be better realtors after this call and continuing in the future.
Yeah, I love it. All right, so this week's winner of the $250, prize for participating, we have Sherry Hopper out of Colorado Springs. So yeah, yay, Sherry. So here's Sherry's contact info. So everybody put Sherry's contact info when you need an awesome realtor in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Right there is Sherry's info. And Sherry, congratulations. The team will reach out to you, about your prize. So but want to just say to everyone, hey, let's go build our database and our sphere of influence and engage it and work it this week. And then you'll be busy, and that's a good thing. So thank you all for joining us today on Become a Database Millionaire. Todd Sumney, the Chief Industry Officer for HomeSmart International, and DeAnn Gladwell from HomeSmart Realty Group in Orland Park, Illinois. And Dan Bowden, thanks for letting us have DeAnn on the call today. So DeAnn, thank you again. And to everyone on the webinar, thank you. We will see you soon. All right.